My name is Trevor Bartison. I'm the president of WorkSaver Employee Testing Systems. To give you just some really quick background, I'm a physical therapist. I have my OCS certification. I've been practicing for 22 years, specializing in orthopedics and functional testing. Personally performed thousands of functional tests, as well as done hundreds of on-site job analyses, and have developed hundreds and hundreds of testing protocols. And I'm one of the developers of the WorkSaver software. And so looking at the tutorial today, we're going to give you just a brief idea of how to use the software to conduct a test. What we find when it comes to using the software, so the software is online. You simply need a device that has access to the internet. We do find when you're choosing a device that if you choose something like a tablet of some sort, for example, and if you buy the most basic tablet, oftentimes we find that they run pretty slowly just because the tablet itself doesn't have a whole lot of processing speed. But in order to begin using the software, you simply need to go online. We find Google Chrome tends to work best as a web browser. So we're going to open a web browser here, and we're going to access the internet. So now when you get here, you just want to go to WorkSaver's website, which is www.worksaversystems.com. Now when you get to the WorkSaver homepage, pause the video recorder, and where you're going to go is to the WorkSaver portal, which is right here. So now what we want you to do is to click on the WorkSaver portal, and it's going to bring you to the portal login screen. Now your username is going to be your email address, and your password will help you get set up in order to have a password to access the software. Now when you log in, if you're like me, where I have multiple clinics that do this type of testing, you may have to choose which clinic you're working at first. So here I've got two of my clinics listed. I'm going to be working in the Houma, Louisiana clinic today, so I'm going to choose on that and hit continue. If you're only working out of a single clinic, you'll never see the screen, and you'll be brought immediately to this screen right here, which is basically our home screen. Now the client company is going to access the portal as well in order to schedule the test. Now when they schedule the test, the scheduling process will generate an email to you, whoever your main contact person is at the clinic. If you have a patient coordinator, receptionist, office manager, or the clinic director who wants to receive all of this notifications, we'll put that email address in there. That'll be something that you'll work out with WorkSaver to find out. It may also be beneficial just to have a generic email address that everybody can access. For example, say maybe something like WorkSaver, testing at anywherept.com, just as an example. And then multiple people could access that email, and so everybody could be kept abreast if there's new schedule has been requested. Now, once you get the new schedule email, the new schedule request email, then simply you just need to log into the website as we just did, and you're going to see the new assessment requested right here under the status. And so now you'll see to the right we've got a couple of buttons. Now up top here you'll see we have what's called a button legend. So this will tell you basically what all of these things mean here. And so right now we see we've got two buttons. One is an X, which would be to cancel this, where you couldn't do it. The other one is a clock symbol, which is to schedule. So we're going to schedule this individual. Now we're going to choose a scheduling option. So that it's been requested for them to be scheduled on December 9th at 4 p.m. If now I have some options here, I can confirm the requested date time. I could schedule a new date time, or if this is an existing appointment that's already been scheduled, I could reschedule it. Now, if we choose these two, it's going to send an email to the scheduler from the client company who's trying to get this test done, saying that you need another time. If you find that there's lots of going back and forth, it may be beneficial, or if your schedule is very tight, just to have them call you to find out when they can fit it in, and then just simply schedule it for that time. If your clinic is very accommodating and you're able to get people in pretty much every day, just have them schedule it for 5 p.m. On that day, and then whenever they show up, you can do the testing at whatever time they get there. But here we'll just say, for example, that we're going to confirm the requested date and time, which is December 9th at 4 p.m. So I'm just going to hit update status. And now this will bring us back to our home screen. You'll see that now it is under a scheduled status. So there's no new assessment requests up here, but this one has been scheduled. So now you'll notice that the buttons have changed some. So we've actually got a little line here, which means no-show. They didn't show. And so you can click on this. What I would suggest is if the individual is late and you can, fit them in, don't hit that button until maybe at the end of the day, or at midnight if that individual hasn't shown, it should automatically roll over into a no-show. Now, so you've got the clock here, which if you wanted to reschedule, you could click on this, and you could choose a scheduling option. And you could reschedule that appointment, right? But we're good with the time that we have, so I'm just going to come back to the home screen. Now, the little pencil here is going to be conducting the test. So in order to click on this, we're going to start conducting the test. We're going to get a status note, and you can make some notes for yourself. As to what happened, whatever happens there, or you could put taken to the back, hit update status, and now it will move it into the actual test itself. Now, in here, so now we're actually in the conducting testing screen right here. So what we've got here is all of the stuff that is on this is essentially the same as that if you've done this on a paper version, you've already seen this in paper. But we're going to get all of our information here, and we're going to collect all of our information as we go. So we're going to collect their basic data of their social security number. We're going to get their height in inches. We're going to get their weight. We're going to choose their gender, and then we're going to pick their date of birth. If any, say, password things pop up like that, just click away from the screen and just ignore them. That's a Google Chrome issue. Now, so say the individual was born June 15th in 1980, just as an example. And then we've got this information in there. Now, one of the things that I suggest is that, when doing this for the first time, you can actually print out a blank copy of the assessment. Now, if you click on this little tab right here, this will take you to a new tab, a new screen. If this doesn't show up for you, you may have to change the settings, because you may have this pop-up blocked for this website. Once you do it once on your device, you'll be fine. Now, this is going to give you a paper copy of taking all of the test data. And what's nice about this is that it will look very much like the portal looks when you're entering the information. So if you have to do this on paper and you need somebody else to help you input the information, it'll be easy for them to follow along. Now, because every option is here, what we'll find is that the document itself would be relatively long, but it'll make life a lot simpler. Early on in the process, I would suggest printing out this document, doing it on paper, and then just taking a few minutes sitting down at the computer to enter the information in, just so you don't have any time pressures of trying to maintain a busy schedule and deal with the individual at the same time. And this way you can do it on paper and then enter it in later. Once you get good at this, you'll find that it'll move pretty quick, and you can probably walk around using a tablet, or you can have maybe several small laptops in different locations depending on the volume of these tests that you do. So now we'll go back over to our assessment screen. Now, at this time, the WorkSaver software is going to be on a continuous improvement, so we're always going to be improving it and adding to it, and it'll be based on the feedback that we get from all of the users. But right now, what we're going to do is from a medical history questionnaire. So the intake paperwork that the test recipient is going to fill out. It's easiest right now for us to keep that on a paper basis. So what will happen is, what we suggest you do is have the individual fill it out on paper, scan it into a computer where you can access this, and then just hit choose file. Now this can all be done by your receptionist. Now if I go look and I have it saved to my desktop here, I can simply click on this information and open it up. Now we'll see it'll show up right here. And so all I have to do is hit the upload button. And now that information will be uploaded. And that way QA can look at this information if we have any questions about some medical history of the individual. So when we click on that there, it'll download it and we'll be able to see the document that we loaded in. Now if the individual, just for an example, is returning after being placed on medical hold because say they had hypertension, we could have them come back in, and then we can simply upload our medical release form itself, where we can add that to the document and upload that file as well. And that way everything is contained, everything's in one place. And so it'll reduce the burden of paperwork management for your clinic. One of the benefits of this program is WorkSaver will have the information. When you submit it to QA for review, we'll have it instantaneously as soon as you hit that button. And so it should reduce the amount of paper charts, etc., that you have to manage. Now, the assessment tests are broken down into these different types. You're going to want to start with the first one, the current medical and functional status. Now, this is based on the flow here. If you've done this on paper, is very similar to the paper process. It's going to have all the information in about the places that we have. So the individual comes in, we're going to get their resting heart rate. We're going to get their blood pressure, and then we're going to come down to current status. Now, what we've done, because the majority of individuals who come in will have defaulted to what we want to use, we're going to have some of these things already checked off for you, but you still need to review this and put whatever information you need. So now, for example, this person denies any illness or discomfort. So they're not having any pain or problems. But, for example, if they say they have low back pain, you can simply document this here, right there, if you so choose. So this gives you an idea, so we know what's going on, but the bulk of the time they're going to deny any illness or discomfort. Do they smoke or vape? What other tobacco do they use? If it's no, right in here, you're just going to want to put something in showing that there's nothing there. There's no other tobacco use. Now, if this is an individual who's undergone some type of medical procedure, you could actually document this right here. Now, when we get down to the previous medical history, you've got two choices. One is they deny any past medical history, verbally and in writing, or they report that they have some type of history. So if they have some type of history, you click on this one. If they have no history, just leave that selected and move on. If they have a history, then you can put it here and you can type it in. You can type in this information. Etc. So put all this kind of information in here. And then you can move on to the next assessment. So this will take us to the next assessment here. Now, you'll see because the bulk of the time, these things are normal. So we've defaulted them to normal to save you time. So when you come in here, you're simply going to look at these things. If it's all within normal, simply just leave it like that. If it's something else, click on here and then document in the notes section below. Now we'll go off to the next assessment. Now, extremity range of motion, against defaulted to normal. Here you're going to have to enter in your cervical and lumbar range of motion. And now here, this will calculate your true lumbar range of motion for you and your true lumbar extension here as well. You can add any notes that you want to there. You can document about the quality of motion, say it's normal motion, and then you can move on to the next assessment. Now, if at any time you need to move out of this screen, you can always come down here and hit back to assessment summary. When you get to the assessment summary, you're going to notice that when you get to the assessment summary, you'll notice here that you can see these sections right here, these first four sections have been done 100%. If they were only partially completed, you would find that they may say only 50% done. So this was the one we had left off on. We know that these things typically come out normal, so we're going to have them as normal. And then we can head off to the next assessment. Now here will be the required special test. So you'll be required to click on something here. You can put this as all negative. If you find something positive, you need to type information here. Now, if you're also finding positive tests here, this is generally a situation where the person will not be safe to proceed with functional testing, and we would be sending them away with a medical release to get this cleared. Now, so we'll say, for example, this one is all negative, like we typically find in most of the cases. All of these tests are negative, and now we'll move on to the next assessment. Now, here are some optional special tests just to give you as a clinician more options in here. Now, we do have to do just a little bit of work in here. You need to put something just in the notes section really quick. And you can just copy and paste, not applicable, because we didn't have to add anything in there, for example. If you want to add an additional test, you can say you can say you did supine straight leg raise, for example, and that it was supine straight leg conducted to history of low back pain, right? And that way we know that they had a history, and you've done your due diligence and just taking a closer look at it to make sure that everything is normal before proceeding. Now, when we've got to that point, now we're going to be starting into the actual functional testing component. So obviously, as per training, the individual needs to be, have normal heart rate and blood pressure at rest, be symptom-free prior to starting, to make sure we can, and our main question that we want to ask as part of our musculoskeletal exam is, can we test this individual safely? That's our first and foremost, our number one requirement is to be able to test the individual safely. So say, for example, we're doing grip testing right here, and we enter that information in. Now say we're going to go back to the assessment summary, and you didn't finish everything. So one of the benefits here is that the software is going to prompt you that, hey, you didn't do everything, so there's going to be some things left undone, which will help remind you if you've forgotten something accidentally. And now also when you come to this home screen here, you'll see that it's only 40% done, that one. So you'll know that there's more work to be done here. And this is beneficial, for example, if you're utilizing some techs or assistants to help you out, because you can pass this individual back and forth, and you can have this test itself open on several different computers, for example. But just the most recent one is going to be the one that has the most recent data. So if you were busy working with this person and you're passing them on to somebody else, get out of that screen, let the other person come in and take over. Or maybe they're on a different device, and then they can pick up where you left off. And so you'll see the information is there. Now, the computer software is on a continuous write. When you are in this screen, this information will not be recorded until you just get out of this note section. So because the computer's waiting for you to finish, so simply by going to the next one, this writes automatically, and then it's always saved. So you don't have to worry about if the power goes out on you, for example, or you lose internet connection, you won't lose all of the data that's been put in, just maybe whatever little tab that you're on. Now, we can say they're right-handed, their grip strength is average on both hands, their flexibility is within normal limits. We could type this in as an example if we had done that test and move on to the next assessment. Now, once we get here, again, we'll be back to physical agility. Now, again, most of these are normal, so it's all defaulted to speed up your testing time right here. Now, if there's an issue, you're going to have to make some notes down here, but otherwise everything will be defaulted to yes to allow you to move through here quickly. Of course, you have to test all these things, but this will reduce your documentation time. And you'll have to get into the screen and out of it for it to register as having been done. And if you're having some trouble where for some reason it's not registering that it's been the screen has been viewed and work has been done on it, sometimes if you just click on one button and then another, going back to it, it'll automatically prompt that to write the data, and then you'll be good to go. Now you're going to do your lift testing. Can they do this safely, 50 pounds in this example? If not, you're going to document in the note section. here is required 35 pounds to shoulder. Can they do it? Yes or no? And then you're going to document how the safe lifts were determined, so they completed the protocol. And then you'll comment on their body mechanics. And remember, we're looking for body mechanics above or excellent. If they have poor body mechanics, that is an opportunity for you to teach them. They need to be able to demonstrate the ability to lift with good body mechanics. So we're not putting them in harm's way. So, you can write down that it was above average, move on to the next assessment. And now we'll be in some other additional tests. Here is a lift and carry, a stair climb and carry, for example, all defaulted. After the stair climb and carry, we may want to take a minute to check their heart rate. And we found their heart rate was 120, just to make sure that they didn't exceed. And we had a chance to listen to see if there was any arrhythmias, just by listening with the stethoscope. And it gives us an opportunity to just do a little bit better cardiac clearance in case we've got concerns. Now, ladder climb, push, pull tests, postural tests, etc. So now this is would complete the entire evaluation. So we've done all of the sections going from screen to screen, and now we're here and we've got all of the tests are done. The individual, we've got to make determination now about their ability to work. So the client met all job requirements, did not meet all job requirements, or you didn't get to finish the test because something came up. There was a blood pressure problem, a heart arrhythmia, etc. Now, if the client did not meet all job requirements, we need to do some documentation in here. You'll notice there's 2 notes fields. Some of this information is going to be sent to the client company, and not all of the individuals at the client companies have access to any protected health information. So, for example, on this box, you can put down that, say they were unable to safely complete the floor to shoulder lift, for example. Max ability 25 pounds. This information will be sent to the scheduler. This information down here is going to be protected health information that is going to be visible to QA, to anybody from WorkSaver who's doing a review, and also to somebody at the client company who has undergone HIPAA training, has access to protected health information. So here we could put down something like hypertension, 170 over 110, for example. That's considered protected health information. History of diabetic coma, anything like that you're going to put in, that's all protected health information, so you'd want to put that in there. Now, in this section, you're going to document whatever it is they couldn't do, and what their max ability is. That would give the client company an option to accommodate them. As we know in this scenario, the individual did meet all requirements. So we're going to that they met all job requirements, for example, and all of this was fine. Now we're going to get their exit vital signs. So their heart rate was 86, and their blood pressure, their heart rate right here is 86, and their blood pressure was, say, 122 over 84. We instructed them on proper body mechanics and safe lifting techniques. And then you can add additional notes in this section right here if you need to. And then down here, you're going to simply type your name, and this is going to serve as your signature. And so you're going to put your name in here. As you know, from a WorkSaver perspective, only the occupational therapist, physical therapist are able to sign off on the document. So you'll be the ones responsible. And then we simply, once all of this is done, so we see all of this is 100% complete, we've chosen if they met all the requirements or not. We put in their exit vital signs. We added any notes we needed to. We've typed our name in, and now we're just going to complete the assessment. So here, when you hit this button, the software is going to ask you, are you sure? So now, is this assessment complete? Are you sure you wanted to send to QA for review? If you're not sure, hit the no. If you say, yeah, it's good, hit yes. And now you can add any additional notes in right here. If you wanted to make some additional comments, you can add them there. and to update the status. And then now, and you'll see right here the pop-up blocked. So what happens here is you want to simply click on this and just always allow pop-ups to come through, so we're able to look at that. And what happened in that situation is it blocked my pop-up that would allow me to see the completed assessment in the typed format. Now, the assessment itself has been sent to QA. They're going to get a chance to look at it. If they have any problems with the assessment, where they've got questions or whatever, they're going to reroute it back to you. And so what you'll find is you'll see this document will come back, and this is a different test itself, but for this fictitious company, but you'll see it's been rerouted to the clinic for revision. So you could go back into this one, and this is a different assessment, but you can go in here and figure out what it is that you need to do. Whatever was missed, say we forgot to check that off, and then we're going to send it back to QA, update the status, and so here's the example of where the completed document will come. So this is what the client company is going to see. One of the benefits of the software program is that it's all going to be typed, so it's going to make it a lot easier for the company to read what's there and to pull all the information in a timely manner. And so while you can, once it's been sent, WorkSaver has it, but you could always print this out from a safety standpoint and hang on to this for a couple weeks just to make sure that everything's been done. The system, all the information's updated and written automatically, so this will never be an issue, but just for safety's sake, you could always keep this with you. And then you can see now I have no more assessments here pending. Everything is empty. This should save your company a lot of time. It's going to reduce the amount of paper you have to handle, the number of charts that you need, and very importantly, it will speed billing. As soon as we get this information, our invoicing, our billing is going to go out. So from a clinic perspective, you're going to save money on reducing photocopying costs, reducing purchasing paper and files to hold all this stuff. You'll reduce any kind of mailing costs or faxing costs associated with this, and then it will speed your billing time. So if you mailed these tests in, you would have to wait a week or so for it to get to us before we could even bill it. So now it'll be billed out immediately. If you have any questions, please give WorkSaver a call, and thank you very much for reviewing this tutorial.